assalamu alaikum, and a very warm welcome to Visionary Pulse with me, your host, Farzana Mayet, a segment that focuses on chatting to game changers and change makers. And tonight is certainly no different, where we will be chatting to one such game changer and change maker. We say a very good evening and a warm welcome to Ronel Jooste. Ronel Jooste is a seasoned chartered accountant with over 2 decades of senior leadership experience, both locally and internationally, including serving as Group CFO of a multinational organization and non-executive directorship roles. She is also a multi-award-winning serial entrepreneur who has started 5 businesses in diverse industries. An author as well of an amazing award-winning book, Financially Fit and Healthy. Ronel combines her extensive financial expertise as a chartered accountant with a passion for educating and empowering others in financial literacy and entrepreneurship. She has developed various financial and business courses, including a startup business course equipping aspiring and startup entrepreneurs to start and grow successful and sustainable businesses. She is currently pursuing her master's degree in happiness studies, the science of well-being, through Centenary University in New Jersey, USA, with the intention of continuing to a PhD focused on leadership, high performance, and holistic well-being. This journey has significantly expanded her understanding of global well-being trends, frameworks, and evidence-based practices. Her focus now is on bringing this global perspective home to South Africa, where she believes she can make a real and lasting impact, adjusted for our unique context. As an internationally accredited holistic wellness expert and John Maxwell certified leadership trainer and coach, Ronel equips professionals and entrepreneurs to be high performers and extraordinary leaders while thriving in every area of their life, physically, emotionally, and financially. Her qualifications extend to being a brain health licensed trainer, whole brain practitioner, and resilience and high performance practitioner. A fitness enthusiast at heart, she also holds a diploma in exercise science and nutrition as well. Ronel lives by the motto, I want to live a healthy, active, happy, and financially free life. And I want to inspire and empower others to have that too. Wow, that is certainly extremely inspiring. Ronel, a very good evening and a warm welcome to Visionary Pulse. It is such a privilege and honor to have you with me this evening.
Thank you, Farzana. It's lovely to be with you.
So first of all, I've got to start. You wear so many hats. First of all, congratulations for all your accolades and accomplishments. It's really an amazing feat. So heartiest congratulations for that. Second of all, how do you find the time to fit all this in one day?
Thank you, Farzana. Yes, I think I really had to learn to practice what I preach. So I had to really build a vision for myself and what I want to achieve in life, personally as well as professionally. And then I had to see kind of how can I be as productive and as efficient with my time so that I can fit in as much as possible, but still live a well-balanced life. So I think there's just so many productivity hacks that I had to learn and adopt into my life, because it is also important to me that I still live a very well-balanced life. And yeah, I just had to build it around those principles.
Absolutely. So tell me, you mentioned some of the productivity hacks. What are some of them? Because I think, somebody that has so many accolades, our viewers can really benefit from some of your hacks that that has helped you in your journey.
Yeah, Farzana, I think I also own a guest house, and they often,
amongst others,
often when I meet with the guests at breakfast, then I'm on my way to go run or go to the gym. And then people will always ask me, so how do you still find time to exercise? And I think it is often just to kind of like have that mindset change, and to not think of it that I'm not having time to exercise, rather see kind of like in how much it benefits you to fit in exercise, and then you just feel you have so much more energy, you feel you're in a good mood, you are just much more productive at work. So rather go and spend that hour exercising, and then you come back and you work really productively for 6 hours.
Obviously, because dopamine's then released, it's you know, the feel-good hormone, and you always want to be productive, and you want to get it jumpstarts your day. But like you said, to summarize exactly what you've said is that you don't see it as another task to do. You add it in the list of, you know, activities you plan for your day.
Yeah.
To make sure that you know, it fuels your body.
Yeah, now to absolutely build a lifestyle around it, and to have all these micro interventions that you practice, and you practice it consistently, and over time you will definitely reap the benefits from it.
Okay, so from your vast businesses, you mentioned now the guest house as well. I know that's a really great pet project of yours, because I have been following it as well. How did you decide then to open up a guest house? Because it's totally unrelated to all your different qualifications, right? So how did that happen?
I think it happened totally by accident.
Oh, okay.
After I left the corporate world, we were looking for a bigger premises, so that we can stay there but still run our offices from there. And then it happened that the place that we found, it had a lot of additional rooms with en-suite bathrooms, and it used to be a guest house previously. And then we just thought, well, we've got all of this additional space, we can just as well run with it. And yeah, I think it was a really great journey, because like you mentioned, coming from a chartered accountant to doing this, which is 100% people's driven type
yes,
of
because you're investing
job.
so much of your time having that one-on-one with people, because your business is definitely directly impacted with your, you know, your conversations with your guests, and word of mouth, and the experience that they have. So
Yeah.
you've got to ensure every interaction is par excellence, to make sure that the next guest is going to have just a better experience.
Yeah, so you really had to adopt to a lot of new things, like I said,
Right.
to really develop those kind of more like human skills, or people skills rather,
Right.
and also to become used to kind of not being in a very structured environment like the accounting world. So at the guest house, everything,
It's more laid back.
yeah, and you need to go with the flow. But then I also must say it is a very happy environment, and I think that is what I enjoy about it.
And how many years has the guest house been thriving now, Ronel?
We will be 10 years now.
Wow.
In April and next year, so we are basically 9.5 years. But yes, we've survived lockdown, so I think that is probably the biggest achievement.
Absolutely. And I would think that, you know, any business that has survived and thrived post-lockdown and with lockdown, it's just amazing. But it does take hard work and dedication, and that's what you pour into every business of yours.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think you need to have that kind of excellence mindset to really do everything that you do at 100%, and then it will be a success.
Absolutely. Okay, Ronel. So for the benefit of our viewers, please do elaborate on, you know, the subjects and all that is required should a career in chartered accountancy want to be explored by any of our viewers that are currently in matric right now and want to do, or the viewers that want to do career changing and want to go into chartered accountancy.
Yeah, I must be honest, I don't know exactly what the university requirements are these days. When I studied, it was still, you had to have obviously maths, you had to have accounting. And I do think anything with economics, I think can also really benefit you. But I think it's almost more than just the subjects at school. We do brain profiling. And I think something like that is amazing that every matriculant should be doing, because that is really kind of, if you can align yourself with your thinking preferences, it will just help you to really be happy within your workplace, to have that job satisfaction, and to really excel if you are kind of working in alignment with who you truly are, as opposed to only have like in the technical skills and the subject. So I would say people need to consider that as well on top of the normal accountancy and maths.
Absolutely. But no, Ronel, chartered accountancy, how did you decide then? How did you find your calling and decide, okay, this is something that I want to explore? The other businesses came much more later. The other studies came much more later, but obviously chartered accountancy was something that you decided straight, fresh out of matric, you want to explore this. What was the deciding factor?
To be honest, I do not really know. I've just always wanted to be a chartered accountant. I think since like a young age, I
Okay.
always said I want to be that. But both my dad and my mum were in the financial world as well. So I think that definitely influenced it. But I also think if in terms of what I'm doing now, which is still involving quite a lot of, my skills from being a chartered accountant, even though it's so different. But I really had to walk through that journey and to experience it myself to be able to really excel at what I'm doing now, because I can really resonate with professionals, with the stress that they are experiencing, the challenges. And I think that just really helped me to really be the best at what I'm doing currently.
And I think that is absolutely amazing because, that was the one thing that laid the foundation, for the other successes that would later follow. Okay, so Ronel, what inspired your journey as well to becoming an author? Because amongst all the business accolades I have listed, you are an author as well, and an accomplished one at that. So what, inspired that role?
I really enjoyed writing when I was still at school, so I always used to write some novels and so forth. And I think then I went more on the numbers journey. So I really enjoyed writing the book, and I think there I also combined two of my biggest passions, which are finances as well as fitness, because the whole book basically takes you on a journey to compare how you would become financially fit compared to how you would go on a journey to be healthy or to be fit in life, or to maybe lose weight. So I've basically combined
you
all of
intertwined
those.
everything into one book.
Just to see kind of like in how interconnected it really
Absolutely
is.
brilliant, Ronel. And there's a brilliant thinking behind that. But how long did it take you to write?
It actually went relatively quickly. So I would say it was probably less than 2 months.
Less than 2 months. My word, that is amazing.
Yeah, but I think all that content was kind of like in my head, so I know what I wanted.
So it came from the heart.
To,
So, people and readers could resonate. Okay, this is what, is basically put into it. All right. Okay, in any business, and now you have 5 businesses from which various spheres, each successful in its own right. There would have had to be people wanting to compete and business rivalry. I think you better than anyone would know this because you've got like 5 businesses. How do you cope with that, Ronel?
Farzana, I'm very competitive by nature. So I think if I run or whatever, I always go at full speed.
Okay.
But I've also learned that in the business world, I only compete with myself.
And that's so important. I love what you said, Ronel.
I always want to strive to just be working at my personal best and achieve my full potential. Because I think if you are trying to be so occupied with what everybody else is doing and trying to copy people, it will never be a success. So I rather stay kind of authentic to who I am. I know what my vision is, what I want to accomplish, and I rather kind of run in my own lane, so I stay away from politics and all those things, and really just focus on what I'm doing and making sure that I'm doing that at my very best.
Absolutely. I love that because obviously, once you focused on yourself and you focus on your weaknesses and your strength, only then can you be better. Because if you're so focused on the next person, on what they're up to, on what are they getting up to, it sort of diminishes your main core purpose. From your brand, your vision, and your main intention as to why you started your various businesses.
Yeah, and it's also not going to be sustainable. You are going to, at some point, not want to continue with it anymore. So rather do what your passions are all about.
It would be draining on your energy.
Absolutely.
That's absolutely true. Okay, so then that brings me to my next question, Ronel, and this is a very, very interesting one. What is happiness studies? Because I think this every viewer will now sit up, take notice, and want to hear what is happiness studies, what is it all about? So I think you need to go from the bottom and give us an in-depth view on what exactly is happiness studies.
Yeah, Farzana, I actually get that question quite a lot. I think like as my journey progressed, and especially when I've studied quite a lot about neuroscience and brain health and brain profiling and brain performance the last couple of years, I think it naturally flowed into something like that. But I think it was also, I was dealing with a couple of leaders across the globe who, on face value, they have everything, you know, the success.
Okay, so when you look at them, they're extremely
big
accomplished.
businesses, yes. And you think, but they must be so happy. And then you realize there's absolutely no happiness there. And I think that started, then I just kind of like in questioned, you know, like in why is that and what is really the relationship almost between all of this and happiness. And then I enrolled for my master's degree. So what it is all about, it's basically the science of well-being and whole-being. So we are looking at kind of a person as a whole person and see kind of like in what's all the key elements that play a role in your overall happiness.
Okay.
So it's very multidisciplinary. So we're looking at happiness from a leadership, a business, economics, religion, literature, philosophy, positive psychology. So we're looking from all those kind of angles into happiness and specifically well-being as well. And yeah, I think it is just amazing. We, in terms of a whole-being approach, to really look at spiritually, physically, intellectually, relationally, as well as emotionally, how all of those areas are interconnected, and all of that actually drive your happiness levels as well.
Who would have thought, Ronel? Who would have thought? Okay, and the success rate, you know, once you do decide to assist someone, you know, like you said, a highly driven individual who has achieved so much, what is the success rate of that? You know, what do they then go on to achieve in terms of, like you said, they already accomplished, but inwardly they're not happy?
Yeah, I think it is also for a person to first of all understand what happiness is all about, and to basically define it for yourself, to see kind of, because it's also different from how I perceive happiness to be versus how you might perceive it.
Yes,
so
each of us is different.
Yeah, so it's kind of like in how to define it for yourself. And then how do you put in all the micro interventions and the principles to see kind of like in how you become happier. So yeah, I think it's amazing if you hear the success stories of the students who have done it previously, in terms of how they've managed to basically convert people into happy individuals, happy workplaces, happy communities, happy families. So there's, I think that is the drive and the mission behind it.
That is absolutely profound. So can you share with us maybe one instance where a student was, you know, what they had before, what they had experienced before, their personality trait, and how have they now grown? Maybe one example.
Yeah, I think one of it is to really have meaning within your job as well. And that brings me back to when we've touched on the brain profiling. That often people will go and they will study something because they hear that being a chartered accountant or a lawyer or something, that is, wow, I need to study that. But that's not really aligned with who they truly are. And then they start to almost lose a sense of meaning within that career. So even if you can already just change that to help them to become happier in what they are doing, because obviously if you are not happy in the workplace, you spend at least 8 hours a day in the workplace.
Exactly, yes.
So if you can at least be happy in your work circumstances or that environment, it already contributes a lot in terms of your overall happiness as well.
Definitely, I couldn't agree with you more. So by extensively studying the brain, then branching off into happiness studies, please share a few pointers to our valued viewers of how it is that we can reduce stress and find happiness and appreciate the little things in life. I think each one of us are running motors of stress every single day. How can we then change for the better?
I think it again comes back to almost like I mentioned, the small micro interventions, how you can at least
The
do
minute changes.
How can you start doing those small changes and see kind of like in how it becomes like an upward positive spiral of making a bigger and bigger impact. So it's literally those kind of, how can you just maybe start exercising every day and start feeling more energetic, start feeling in a better mood, and how that kind of like now you go into the workplace, you perform better. So there again, you start having that sense of achievement. Right. So it's all about those small things that you can implement to make like a much bigger impact.
Okay, so it's basically taking the small tasks every day and try to convert it into a positive. So should you be having a bad day, obviously try and convert it into a more positive, experience.
Yeah, and I think also on the stress, I think something like stress management is something that it should actually be a compulsory subject at university and even at school, because we work with so many people at the student level and at the article level or entry level within the workplace, and there they already mentioned that burnout is their kind of biggest challenge. Now, if you already at that level struggle with stress management and struggle with feeling burnt out, how are you going to cope later on in your career? And I think that is also why we are seeing that people are becoming really sick and unhealthy, and it's at a young age people are starting to have life-threatening diseases. Yes. And it's all kind of like in how can I equip a person to identify the stress triggers, to know what those triggers are, and to also equip them with tools in their toolbox that when they experience some stress, that I know I can practice this, I can try this, to just kind of like go back to like a more baseline, relaxed state. So I think that is something that people should really be focusing on.
Absolutely. And Ronel, tell me what the causes of brain happiness and happiness studies that you're currently doing. Are you currently having a clientele base whereby you're trying to see people and trying to convert that negativity into positives?
Yeah, we do see individuals on like a consulting basis as well, but the majority of the clients is more either small to medium-sized companies as well as the biggest corporates in the country, where we have a lot of programs and interventions, workshops, keynote talks that we deliver, and we help them through those kind of, so it's both to basically teach them the theory, but also kind of like in the practical things that they can go back and they can apply it in their personal lives as well as in their careers to help them to perform better, but to also live healthier and happier lives as well.
Wow, that's brilliant. And how long would this particularly take? How long would I wouldn't say session, how long would the course take?
We have a variety of different, so it also depends on people's needs, the budgets, all of that. So we sometimes would literally on a monthly basis have interventions and sessions within a workplace. And then often we would also have like group coaching or individual sessions that we also offer after workshops. So it really depends. It can go from like in a couple of weeks up to like in a full year, where they get us in every month to basically talk about a different subject or theme.
Wow, that is absolutely amazing. Okay, Ronel, where to from here? You love studying, and I've got to ask, what is next on the horizon? Because you've completed so many degrees, you've achieved so much. Where to from here? What's next on the horizon?
Yeah, Farzana, I believe everything is starting to come together, and I think everything is flowing in really nicely, even though people might think the finances and the fitness and the brain health and the happiness might be so kind of different. It is actually a golden thread through it all. And for me, I would really love to do my PhD after this,
Right.
where I want to focus on leadership and high performance as well as holistic well-being. And then because we get really a lot of global expertise, and to bring that back to South Africa and see kind of like in how we can really build happier individuals, happier workplaces, happier leaders. Because I think if we have from a bottom up as well as a top to bottom kind of approach, we can really have sustainable and significant results and a big impact within South Africa.
Absolutely,
specifically.
I couldn't agree with you more. But wishing you all the success, Ronel. You're such an inspiration. I just wish only the best for you going forward.
Oh, thank you so much, Farzana. I appreciate
So,
that.
Ronel, who is your biggest inspiration? I've got to ask.
Farzana, I would not really say I have one big inspiration. I think I have a couple of role models that I kind of like see what they are doing and that I am aspired by. But for me, it's more about like in understanding what my full potential is and working towards achieving my full potential, and really through that help to educate and empower others.
Absolutely. And what is one motivational quote that gets you through every day?
I think I would go for when you educate and empower an individual, you actually uplift a nation. And I think it is all that kind of like in how you can make small impacts like in every day, whether it is just to help a team in the workplace to start to be happier and to thrive, as opposed to helping somebody with a startup business, how to start that business and grow that business into a successful and a sustainable business. So it's kind of like in how can we do those small things every day
To bring about change.
that can result in a much bigger impact.
Absolutely, Ronel. I want to thank you so much for joining me on Visionary Pulse. It has been an absolute pleasure having you on our show.
It is my pleasure. Thanks, Farzana.
So that brings us to the end of another wonderful segment of Visionary Pulse. Join me, Farzana Mayet, next week as I chat to another game changer and change maker. Assalamu alaikum and a very good evening to you.